What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for Sports. All right, so before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out once again for the brother Robert Mason for the $14 total donation that he made today to the channel via the PayPal. Much respect to Robert Mason for once again coming through and showing love to the platform. I also want to give a shout out to the first time donator, Larry Sadler, for donating $3 to the channel via the PayPal. Much respect to Larry blessing me with this gift of $3. And like I said, I don't care if it's a penny. You know what I'm saying? Anything that anyone chooses to send as far as their hard-earned money, as far as a token of appreciation or a gesture of appreciation for the content that I'm putting out here, I really do appreciate it. From the bottom of my heart, man. You know what I'm saying? Without you guys, uh, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be here. A lot of our channels wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have the support. And they know that we're a threat to the mainstream, and they still do their suppression tactics. And it's sad. It's sad that they got all of these huge advantages over us little old content creators. They still got to do things to try to rig the system. It's unbelievable. Even when you play by the rules, they still try to do things to rig the system. It's just sad. That's why I have no respect for them. I have no respect for any of those people on ESPN for the most part, or Fox Sports. None of them. But anyway, shout out to all of you all who support the LDBC. So I'm gonna put a link to this article in the description box. Excuse me, in the pinned comment in the comment section. Put a link to this article in the pinned comment. So one of the things that irritates a lot of fans today are players who sign contracts only to try to renege on them later on. A lot of times it has to do with the fact that they feel that they have reached a certain type of status as a player and that they are entitled to a raise, or oftentimes the changing market. I think that tends to happen more often. The changing market, salaries increase, and therefore they think that their salary should increase. And I'm all for people making money, man, but at the end of the day, if you sign a contract in 2015, right, it's not the owner's fault. It's not management's fault that you signed a long-term contract because you wanted to secure your future and you didn't want to bet on your own health. Now you're stuck into a long-term contract where everybody now is either making the same amount of money as you or more, who are nowhere near you as players. Those are the breaks. And Charles Barkley talked about this when it pertained to Scottie Pippen. And was Scottie Pippen underpaid? Absolutely. To be the 122nd highest paid player for the 1997-98 season, when you're at the time a five-time NBA champion, one of the great small forwards in the history of the game, top 50, one of the great small forwards, arguably the greatest small forward in the 1990s at that particular time, and you're making role player money, yeah, it's a disgrace. But when the owner tells you, the owner, the owner, and the general manager tells you this is a bad contract that you're signing, and you sign it anyway, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? They told him, you're better off signing a shorter term contract. You're better off signing a 2 or 3 year contract and coming back instead of trying to sign this 7 year or 6 year deal at the time. You're better off doing that because at the time in 1991, the market was changing, the revenues were soaring. And at the time when Scottie signed that contract, it was a good deal. But within 2 years, it was obsolete. Within 4 years, it was pathetic. And by 1998, it was just straight up embarrassment, the amount of money he was making. Okay? But the thing people forget is that from 1984 to 1996, Michael was making a pathetic salary too. People forget that Jordan actually made, even with those two huge paydays in 97 and 98, Pippen still wound up making $16 million more overall in his career than Michael Jordan did. $109 million for Pippen to $93 million for Jordan. So Pippen did ultimately start seeing money. But a lot of it is Pippen's fault. And Charles Barkley talked about this. Charles Barkley talked about how he had an agent that was stealing money from him. So he decided to sign some long-term contract, and he was locked into this contract even when he went to Phoenix. You know, that contract still was secured. The Phoenix Suns took over the trade, and he was making less money than less talented players on his team. He was making less money. He was the league's reigning MVP, top 2, 3 player in the NBA, and he's not making as much money as some of the role players on his team. And I'm pretty sure it bugged him. But he talked about a conversation he and Michael had, and Michael said, "Look, we need to shut the fuck up about this. We signed the deals when we signed them. Honor the deal, honor the contract." And I agree with that. Now, once that contract is over, that's a whole different story. That's a whole different ball game. When that contract is over and you're a superstar, if they're not trying to give you no more money, bounce. Get your fucking money. But I have a problem with people who don't honor contracts. And see, that the people who you have problems when I say that, I think they're people who are not business minded. They're not people who are ever going to be in a position where they could be bosses. Because I try to think of it from both perspectives, as a person who signs a contract and as a person who's uh, issuing out contracts. Because you don't want to sign someone for as a contractor, they don't honor the contract. So at the end of the day, that's how I feel about it, man. You know what I'm saying? I side with Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan on that. You know, and like I said before, a lot of that shit, a lot of the jealousies and all that has to do more with money. You know, the fact that Mike got paid for that documentary and they didn't. Pippen on down. You know, and that's why with that book Pippen sold, he played up the Mike angle to boost sales. So that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.